What's going on, everybody? It's your homeboy Casanova, and I'm here with a new video. And this is something that I want to talk about because, well, as some of you may know, I've been really obsessed with sewing lately, and I really enjoy sewing projects, provided all my tools work with me. And I also have a fondness for sewing patterns. Well, because of my fondness for sewing patterns, I wanted to talk about two sewing patterns that I have that are quite identical. And they are Simplicity 9241 and Vogue 8988. So, how do I go about this? Well, I think I'll start with the Simplicity pattern. Now, the Simplicity pattern, it is a two-piece suit, which is the jacket and the trousers. No waistcoat. Wah, wah, wah. Anyway, so the jacket takes 19 pieces, while the trousers take 16 pieces. The jacket is a single-breasted jacket with peak lapels and a double back vent, and it has the standard details that you would want in a suit jacket, you know, the chest pocket on the left side and the double welts with flat pockets on the front. There is a double vent in the back, as I'm pretty sure I've already mentioned. There is also a serger sleeve, which means you can actually add buttons and buttonholes so that you can unbutton and button the sleeves. And the trousers, they are flat-faced with slanted front pockets, and they have double welt back pockets with buttons that actually work. And yeah, I mean, it's simple as that. Alright, now let's roll over to Vogue 8988. Now, the jacket, it has peak lapels and a double back vent, just like Simplicity 9241. However, the jacket actually comes in two views. There's the single-breasted and there's the double-breasted. So you have more variety there. For the jacket part of that pattern, you have 24 pieces, even though you only use 22, depending on which view you're doing. If you're doing view A, you use pieces 1 to 22. If you're doing view B, you use pieces 2 to 9 and 11 to 24. You don't use pieces 1 or 10 for view B, because those are specifically for view A, just to be clear. And then for the trousers, for the Vogue pattern, you use pieces 25 to 46. So, I believe if my math is correct, you're using 21 pieces for the trousers, whereas if we go back to the Simplicity pattern, you may recall that we use 16 pieces for that. So the Vogue pattern is pretty much a bit more advanced than the Simplicity pattern already, as far as piece count. To be honest, I don't think I've seen anyone make the pants for either of these patterns, so maybe I should just stick to the jacket. Let me fold this back up. If you hear any rustling in the background, I'm actually looking between both pattern instructions. Where was I? So the Simplicity pattern for the jacket, you use 19 pieces, and for the jacket views in the Vogue pattern, you use 22 pieces. And I think the 3 extra pieces actually make a difference, because those inside pockets that the Vogue pattern offers, it gives you a bit more functionality. Because if I'm honest, whenever I'm wearing a jacket and I want to put something in a pocket, I typically reach for the inner pockets and not the outer pockets. But hey, as long as the pockets are fully functional, that's always a plus. And luckily for anyone who uses either of these patterns, the pockets are fully functional. Now, I've seen 2 people make the Vogue pattern, both in different views. The Bro Who Sews did view A, and Norris Danta Ford did view B. Shout out to those guys. Go follow their YouTube channels. I will have their links in the description. Now, as far as overall jacket patterns, I have to give the victory points to the Vogue pattern because, one, it's got inside pockets, which adds to the functionality of the overall garment, and two, it comes in two views, the single-breasted and the double-breasted, and whichever you prefer, you have the option. And as MGO316 on YouTube says, options are good. So, yeah, if you want a overall functional jacket and you want to have the option of either doing a single-breasted or a double-breasted jacket, yeah, the Vogue pattern will definitely be the victor here. Now, as far as the pants go, I have not made the Vogue version of the pants because, well, to tell the truth, all the extra pieces, it actually has me feeling more overwhelmed than anything. Like, I feel confident making the jacket, but as far as making the pants from this pattern, I feel really overwhelmed, and I can't see myself doing that. I mean, going through 85 steps to make a pair of pants, that is very ludicrous, in my opinion. But hey, if you have the patience and the self-confidence to make the pants for that pattern, hey, go for it. Now, the pants pattern on the Simplicity pattern, it's less than half that amount of steps from the Vogue pattern. It's actually pretty straightforward, and I actually have made this pattern, and I think the smaller piece count for the trousers, it actually works to this pattern's benefit. Because, I mean, for the jacket, the Vogue pattern only adds 3 pieces. It's simple, but it's right to the point. Whereas the Vogue pattern, it adds 5 extra pattern pieces, and yet those 5 extra pieces actually makes that pattern feel very overwhelming and very confusing. Whereas the lower piece count for the Simplicity pattern, I actually felt a lot more confident both times I made a pair of pants with this pattern. So as far as an overall pants pattern goes, I have to give the victory points to the Simplicity pattern. Now, there is another element that I want to touch upon, and it's something that a lot of people might not associate with me, and it's the ability to both read and understand the sewing patterns. I know, it's shocking. Casanova can read. Now, between the two, I have to admit, several of the steps, they are mostly easy to understand. However, there were a few points during the Vogue instructions where I just started scratching my head like, oh, what? What is going on here? And some of the diagrams didn't help too much. Now, I will admit, when I made the pants from the Simplicity pattern for the first time, the extra pieces for the fly and the fly guard, it was definitely confusing, and I kept scratching my head and trying to figure out, okay, what the hell do these instructions mean? So, yeah, both of them are mostly easy to follow, but they do have moments where you get stumped, and you just have to back up, rewind, and rethink how these things are supposed to all fit together and come into play. Now, that being said, I feel like some of the steps in the Vogue pattern are out of order. If you recall from the video that the bro who sews did, he suggested that you do the inside welt pockets before you do the outside welt pockets, just so you get that practice in, so that your outside welt pockets actually look more appealing and presentable. Just to make my point clear, you would do steps 36 to 48 before you do steps 3 to 25. Now, I think I should also touch upon this. The Vogue pattern for the jacket has 92 steps, whereas the jacket from the Simplicity pattern has 39 steps. Yeah, that's less than half. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention there are some steps in the Simplicity pattern that the Vogue pattern doesn't tell you to do, and vice versa. But I also have to point out that some of the steps in the Simplicity pattern, they're organized in a sequence that makes sense, at least to me, whereas the Vogue pattern, while things are a bit out of order, in the end, you ostensibly come to the same end result on the outside, whereas on the inside, the only real difference is you have those interior pockets. But as far as readability goes, I have to give the victory point to the Simplicity pattern, because I feel the Simplicity pattern is a bit easier to read, understand, and follow. Whereas the Vogue pattern, it's a bit more complicated, and it definitely gets confusing, given that some of the steps just feel like they're out of order. So, take that for what it's worth. Also, I have to agree with Norris Danta. There are certain details that you're not going to learn in the pattern instructions, which is why you may end up needing to sign up for sewitacademy.com. I mean, point blank, period. I have been able to figure out how to create a build out for a jacket just by watching certain videos, but other people might not be able to figure it out, which is probably why they would need to sign up for Sew It Academy. But this is not me bragging. This is me saying everybody has different skill sets and everybody has different learning methods. So I'm just putting it out there. Now, a jacket build out is probably too difficult for some people to handle, which is probably why most sewing patterns don't include a build out for a suit jacket. However, I think what could be added to both of these patterns, and this is just a personal preference thing, is at the very least a half lining for the back. Because I gotta agree with Norris Danta. If you don't have a half lining, you're just gonna see the seams all the way up the back, and you really don't want to take a jacket off and see that. So, yeah, that is something that could be added. Alright, so, my final thoughts. I think as far as instructions go, the Simplicity is definitely the better printout. As far as the overall jacket goes, the Vogue pattern wins. I think as far as the pants, the Simplicity wins in that department as well. However, there is also one other element that I almost forgot about, and it's overall value. Yeah, the Vogue pattern is definitely more pricey than the Simplicity pattern, at least as far as most retailers and online aftermarkets would go. But I think the Vogue pattern probably gives you the most bang for your buck, because you get 2 jacket views, you get full-fledged functionality out of the jacket, and plus you also get a nice pair of trousers, whereas with the Simplicity pattern you only get 1 jacket view and a pair of trousers. Yes, I will admit the trousers in the Simplicity pattern are definitely more straightforward, and I feel like it's the better pants pattern overall between the two, but I still have to say the Vogue pattern has the most bang for your buck. So if you could only get one, you should probably look for the Vogue pattern. However, if you cannot find the Vogue pattern at all, the Simplicity pattern is not a bad substitute. But I would highly recommend making a custom piece so that you could have inside welt pockets if you want the most functionality out of your suit jacket. But there you go. I think I've rambled enough. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And I would also appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. I know I don't upload too much, but I would appreciate it all the same. Anyway, guys, this has been your host, Casanova, and until next time, I will catch you on the web. Goodbye!